Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us in the Breakout. The next national leader is you. I'm Johnna Dukes, joined by Dibby Bartlett and Moses Nawlo. And we're hoping that what you're going to find is a thread of commonality in all three of our stories, as that we're all three people who didn't originally see ourselves in leadership roles. But once we found ourselves in these positions and we saw it wasn't quite as scary as we thought, our hope is that if we can do it, so can you. I'd like to introduce you to our panelists. Dibby, Olivia Bartlett, has been in the optical industry for 40 years, holding various positions from optician, optical manager, and marketing manager. She obtained her Massachusetts license in 1987 and is ABO certified. Dibby is the president of the Opticians Association of America and past president of the OAM, where she held a director position for 10 years. Currently, she's Chief Operating Officer of Todd Rogers Eyewear. She held positions in optical sales with REM and with Safilo. She's an adjunct faculty member of the Ben Franklin Institute, teaching optical business. She's also an honored fellow, member of the Opticians Association of America, and a member of the advisory board of the Ben Franklin Opticianry Program in Boston. She is a national. She received her Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from Clark University in 1980. Dibby resides in Marshfield, Massachusetts with her two grown children and her wonderful husband.
Hello, everybody. I would like to introduce you to Moses Nawlo. So Moses is dual licensed optician in New York State. He's ABO and NCLE certified, and he obtained his bachelor's degree in biochemistry and master's in healthcare administration. I just found that out. Moses received his optician's degree in 2017 from City Tech College, where he was president of the Student Optical Society. He served as a student apprentice representative on the OAA board of directors, and currently he holds a position of OAA social media and marketing director. He is an honored fellow member of the OAA and is a regular contributor to the OAA newsletter. He lectures at national conferences and serves on several committees, and he does everything. Some of his accomplishments include OAA Future Leader Award and NISO's Future of Opticianry Award. Moses is a managing optician at an independent optical in Brooklyn, New York.
Hi, everyone. Johnna Dukes is a board-certified optician and owner of Optique in Spirit Lake, Iowa. She received her bachelor's degree in biology from Northwest Missouri State University in 2002 and gained her board certification from the American Board of Opticianry in 2001. Throughout her optical career, she has worked in private practice and in corporate retail settings, and in 2010, she opened her own optical dispensary where she still practices today. She is a past president of the Opticians Association of Iowa and is currently the vice president of the Opticians Association of America. She is a monthly contributor to the Jobson's Pro to Pro series and has authored many continuing education articles for opticians, and is an ABO certified speaker. As a business owner and optician, she enjoys making a difference in her patients' lives by helping them to create eyewear that will impact their lives daily.
So now we get to talk a little bit about where we started. So Dibby, tell me, how did you get into this field?
Well, let's see. I graduated in 1980 from Clark University in Massachusetts with a degree in political science, specializing in the Chinese Revolution, and had trouble finding a job. Go figure. Can't figure out why that would happen. Suddenly my student loan came due and my dad tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "What about this?" And I actually didn't even know I had student loan. So I was very surprised, and I realized I had to get a job. So I took a job as a receptionist for an optometrist, and for an optometrist, I had no idea what even an optometrist was at the time, and began managing the optical, and the rest is history. So Moses, I absolutely, as well as I know you, I have no idea how you got into opticianry.
My story is kind of like on a whim sort of thing. So after graduating from undergrad, and on my way while I was applying to grad school, I had a semester off. And being the nerd that I am, I was like, oh, I don't want to waste my time. Let's learn something new. So that's when I went ahead and did my first semester of optical. This was way back. So I did my first semester. It was great. I loved it. And then when the semester ended, that's when I had, time. I was admitted into grad school, and it was time for me to go on. So it's like, oh, the hell with this, So I left optical and went ahead and, ended up getting my master's and additional degrees as well. And then when I was done, I was like, well, now I have this incomplete thing and my, still waiting. So I went and asked, okay, could I just continue from second semester, or do I have to start from scratch? So he was like, no, you could just start, So that's when I did. And yeah, it's been fun ever since. I completed it. I'm happy I did. It's like, it's weird to me because it's like a circle of life. Like you started and then it just took me back around to the start. And it's like, what would have happened had I finished it to begin with and then not had all this time not wasted, but like studying and all these loans that are, building up. And then I'm like, but then the experiences that I went through outside and then that brought me, in between, I guess that's why now I'm in a leadership position, because I've learned so much from those, to take charge, get things right. Johnna, tell us your story. We're excited to hear.
Well, truly, I like to say, if it were Bob Ross, it's a series of happy little accidents. And really and truly, I did my undergrad. I was pre-med. I was going to be an eye doctor. And in working in optical offices, I was fortunate to do a rotation with, at the time, one of the only master opticians in the state of Iowa. And he stopped me one day and he said, "You get this?" And I said, "Yeah, I get this." And he said, "You can go on and finish out your career and, go to school and be an eye doctor if you'd like." He said, "But I really think that if you'd consider opticianry, I think you might be a really good fit." And so, of course, at that point in time, I met my, at the time, my soon to be husband, and, life is changing and things are happening. And I just kept hearing this master optician's voice in my head saying, you could be really good at this, really look into this. And sure enough, I studied and took my board exams, and I've never looked back, and I've been grateful for it every day since. So Dibby, what was your first OAA leadership conference, and what were your first impressions of it?
Well, my first leadership conference was 2010, San Antonio, Texas. And I had a very bumpy start. I was a board of directors at the Massachusetts Association, and I was asked to go, and I didn't want to go. I was afraid. I didn't know anybody. I really didn't even know any of the board of directors that I would have gone with. I was going to go with Blair Wong, who was our executive director, and the president. And she just kept saying, "Just do it. It'll be fine. You just need to just be a sponge. Follow us around. You don't have to say a word, and it'll be fine." And so I thought to myself, okay, I can do that. That's not that hard. Well, the night before I was about to leave, I got a phone call, and she said, "Dibby?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "You're going to kill me." She said, "I have an ear infection and I can't fly." I was like, "What?" She said, "You're going to have to meet Blair at the airport at 5 a.m. and he'll show you how to lead him." I had never led anybody who was visually impaired before, and I didn't even know Blair, so I didn't sleep at all. I think we took 3 hops to get to Texas, and we were late on each one, so I was a complete wreck. But once I got there and I got to meet people and saw how warm everybody and dedicated, and it was such a surprise because I had no idea there even was a national organization. So the whole thing was this brand new experience for me. And Moses, so I was there for your first leadership conference, but
You were, and it was great. The way I got into the state leadership conference was I was a student not long ago. So I went to represent the school. I got awarded the grant to attend, and it was in Savannah, Georgia. So I went in there, I was super excited to go, and we had a blizzard up here. It was ridiculous. So went down. I wasn't expecting much. I was like, okay, a whole bunch of meetings, typical. Oh my God, was I wrong? it was like, I walked in not expecting anything. I walked out with so much motivation and inspiration. Like I got it. I left with a group of friends that were like actually passionate about the profession. And I was like, wow, like people care. And then since when I was addicted, so I had to like come back every single year. So it was a great experience. And I think it's been it's been a while. So I'm going to keep coming back, and not getting rid of me. Johnna, we want to hear your story.
My first leadership was in 2013 in Orlando. And really, truly, it blew my mind. I've told this story before, but I've often said that being in Iowa, and I was on the board of directors in Iowa at the time, but I was unaware that this bigger group existed. And I felt like in Iowa, we were kind of on our own little island. And, I knew there had to be a national group, but I didn't know who they were or where they were. And here I come to this meeting in Orlando, and I just felt like immediately I was embraced, and I found my people. And so it was so exciting to be able to, realize that there were people from different states, from different state associations, who wanted our little itty bitty state to succeed, and who wanted nothing but the best for us as professionals. And it really, it blew my mind wide open. And I just kind of said from that point, I'm going to have to be involved. There's no way for me not to be.
It's awesome.
Dibby, what was your first leadership position? And, how did it lead eventually to you becoming the current OAA president?
So my first leadership position in optical or in life? In life, I was a youth group leader for teenagers for over 20 years. So I guess that's my first leadership position in life. But my first leadership position in optical was being on the board of directors for Massachusetts. And eventually I became president of that association. And that has, I don't think there was anything else that could have prepared me more for being the national president. They're very similar in that, except for the scope, but your duties and so forth are similar. And I also felt, and Johnny, you may have felt the same way. I thought, okay, if I can do that, I can probably do this. Not that I don't feel challenged and afraid and all of those other things and nervous, but I can look back at myself and say, I did that. I did the presidency of Massachusetts, so I think I can probably do this. So Moses, tell us about your first leadership role.
Mm-hmm. So my first leadership role was, I'm going to stick with OA because I love it. So my first leadership role with OAA was right after my first attendance. I went and I became the student and apprentice representative on the OAA's board of director. And I loved it so much, I can't, I'm not going to leave it. And then when my term was ending, they had asked for me to be the social media and marketing director for OAA. And I've been doing it since, and I absolutely love it. Like, traveling, taking pictures of all y'all and posting it, it's a really nice position. Now I'm going to ask Johnna. Johnna, I want to know what your first leadership position was.
Well, like Dibby, I had some leadership experience with a women's group in my local community, and it was Women in Business. And that was brief, but it did kind of give me a little bit of okay, maybe I can do this, a little bit of encouragement. And then I joined the board in Iowa and kind of worked my way up through there. And again, like Dibby, having been past president of a state, it kind of encouraged me that, okay, if I can do that, maybe I can do this too. But one of the kind of things that keeps coming back to me in my adult life, and everyone said this would happen, right? You hear your mother's voice over and over in your lifetime. My mom always said that you don't get to complain about anything unless you've tried to fix it first. And so that was really kind of one of the things that drove me to the board, just things that I thought maybe we could improve upon in our state. And I think that's kind of what keeps me going forward, is just my hope is that we can always make change. We can always, improve things for the better. And I apologize, I speak in sports metaphors a lot, but, I think the golf metaphor is leave it better than you found it. And that's very much my hope too.
Explain that metaphor to me later, of course.
And this is Dibby, who often says, is that the pointy ball or the round ball? Just one of the things I love about you, Dibby. But thinking back on your leadership journey, Dibby, what pushed you to wanting to be involved?
I think what pushed me to get involved is what always pushes me to get involved, which is I look at something and I think we can make a difference. And I think I must like to make a difference because I keep doing this. So, I think that I would be in situations and I would look at something, I think I could help there. And it's inspiring me to be able to make a difference. That's basically, it's what floats my boat. So that was really what it was. Moses, what motivated you? I mean, I think that you were pulling at the leash anyway, right?
What motivates me? I mean, I feel like everything has a purpose, to be done. And if you can improve it, make it better, that's, I think, the way we should leave life after, just better than it was. And this includes everything from social media, everything in life. You leave it, you improve it, and then it's better for the next person behind you to take over and improve it even more and make it better. So that's what pushed me into taking on a leadership position. Not that anything was wrong with OAA, just saying everything was perfect. The reason I got involved with OAA was because I met everyone and everyone was so inspired and so, passionate, and it was a lot of fun to, interact with them, seeing what they're doing for the profession. So I was like, let's just do it. And ever since, it's like, I'm so glad I did. Like, it's been actually the story, which I've told you, I tell whoever I can, is that when remember, Dibby, you were lugging your luggage. It was Savannah, Georgia. We had a blizzard in the north, in Boston, Boston and New York. And the planes were delayed. It was a Saturday. You had to change your flight or some sort in the evening. So you were lucky, and I'm like, Dibby, tell me, how can I get involved? And then you were like, I'll call you. And I was like, oh, I doubt she'll call me. She's got all the other people to call. So no, but then, yeah, we kept in touch. It was so much fun. It was it was a great experience, and always has been. Every leadership that I've attended, been so great. But let's jump to Johnna. Johnna, has anyone inspired your leadership journey, and what keeps you motivated too?
Oh my gosh, so many people. Dibby, you were one of the people who's inspired me to, just to keep reaching and keep changing and keep doing what you can do. And I would also have to say Shirley Early, one of the first leaderships that I went to. Shirley, I don't know, she saw something in me that I didn't see in me. And she said, you've got to stick with this. I really feel like you could make a difference. And, sometimes you just, need to hear those things at just the right time. And I'm fortunate that whatever it was she saw in me, that she spoke up about it, because I'm not sure I'd be here had she not. And, like you said, Dibby, I think there's still change to be had. I still feel like, there are things that we can do to make it better than we found it. And that's what keeps driving me along as we continue at this point.
See it in yourself.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to see it in yourself. So I'm so glad that whatever it was she saw, I'm glad that she pointed it out, because I sure didn't see it. But tell me, Dibby, how do you feel about your current leadership position now?
There's that scene in The West Wing where I don't know if anybody here has ever watched The West Wing. It's my favorite show. So where Charlie's waking up the president, and he's like, no, I don't want to wake up. And he's like, wake up. And he's like, Mr. President, it's time to wake up. It's not a dream. You really are the president. Sometimes it feels like that. But I will have to say, I do really love it. Sometimes it scares me. Sometimes it challenges me. but I really do think that I'm the right fit for right now. And I think that I'm the right fit for the presidency during COVID. There were some things decisions we had to make and things that we had to decide about and go forward with and not go forward with. And we had to be strong decision makers. And I think that that's one attribute that I have. But I also think that Johnna is going to be a great fit for next year when she takes over. And, you know, nothing ever stays the same, which is good. And this position, this organization changes and grows, and the leadership is going to do that as well, which is exciting. So Moses, how is your leadership position working out for you? So you've gone from student to leader in a extremely short time. Were there any issues with that?
When I got in, you know, I just figured, you know, do on the leadership, then they'll get tired of me and toss me aside. But, you know, I'm forcing myself on you because I really enjoy doing it. The current position is a lot of fun. The social media marketing director allows me to, you know, explore, stay up to date with everything that's going on, meeting new opticians, new people, networking with everyone. It's been a it's been a roller coaster ride, and like energy, excitement. Yeah, I'm really liking my current position. Johnna, have your feelings about leadership changed for you now that you're VP and upcoming president?
Well, before I answer that, Moses, I just want to say we are so grateful for everything you do. And I mean, there is nothing that goes out that isn't somehow enhanced by your work. And thank you. I think we are a much better organization with your having been a part of it. So
thank you so much. Thank you.
To interject.
And I have leaders like you to look up to, so I got to step my game up.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Let me tell you, during our board meetings going in, I'm always like, this is back when I was the student representative. And I always go in and I'm like, oh my God, they're going to call me out. I'm not doing anything. I'm not pulling my weight. I'm not doing enough. So it's like, I have to push myself to do more and more. Because, you know, at any point, someone's going to put me in a spot like, Moses, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. So that was like my biggest fear. It was like getting called out. So constantly I have to like, be like, okay, let me be involved in this and that. And, you know, all this. So and now I'm like, okay, comfortable with, you know, doing whatever I could get my hand on, just because it's been a while.
I don't think we ever have to worry about that with you, Moses.
No, right. No, there's never a worry. In fact, anytime someone tells me Moses is involved, I'm immediately put at ease.
My goodness. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Always good having you.
Well, as far as like my feelings about leadership, I wouldn't say they've changed. I would say though that I'm just so grateful that Dibby's kind of taken me along on her journey. And I feel like, you know, when it comes to that, my hope is just to continue the work that we've started. And, you know, I don't know, it just, I don't know that I can say it better than she has. There's been a lot to do, and she's handled it masterfully. So I have giant shoes to even try to stand in, but you know, I know she's a great leader and a great mentor, and I'm better for having worked with you, Dibby. So my hope is to, you know, carry on your work. So that's kind of my goals as president. Yeah. So speaking of Dibby, tell me a little bit about leadership qualities. You know, what do you feel you're best at, and what do you feel you're maybe not as great at?
Well, I think I'm surprised that I have any at all. Really, that's the truth. I guess the one thing is I'm very passionate about what I do. So I'm all in. I'm 100% in. It took me a long time to decide when I was asked to move up the chairs at OAA, whether I was going to do this or not. In fact, it took me a month because I knew that I was going to, I knew I was going to jump in with all fours, and I knew it was going to take a ton of my time and energy and so forth. So it had to be a decision that I was very serious about. So I have am passionate, and I do have tons of energy. Even for an old gal, I do wake up shot out of a cannon every morning. So I'm like, okay, what's my poor husband? Like, what's going to be my next thing? And I'm hardworking. So those are, I think, are the three basic things that help me to get places. But one of the worst qualities, or one of the qualities I really need to develop, that is that I still try to do things myself. Last year at leadership, I did a breakout session with Marianne Santos. It's called Leader or Doer, something like that. And I kept thinking, I don't even know what this means. So we did a whole bunch of research about it. And I did the research and I said, Marianne, I'm a doer. I'm not a leader. I'm a doer. So I realized that, you know, I had to move my brain from being a project completer to a leader and people developer. And they're two very different roles. And that is still a challenge for me. I do find myself going, oh, well, I'll just take it. And they're like, no, because that's not what it's about. As a leader, it isn't about just completing your projects. It needs to be about making sure that your team feels important and loved and challenged and supported and understood. So that's the part that I am still working on a lot. And I have a whole another year to work on that. So Moses, I could answer this question for you, but I'm going to let you answer it. What about you? What at least particularly your best leadership?
Oh, my best one. I'm curious what you're going to say.
Oh, perfectionist.
See, that would be my best quality, but it's also the worst quality,
well,
because I'm,
yes.
It's always, you know, I'm always constantly wanting to improve on things, you know, making sure they're exact, you know, before putting them out. And that usually takes an eternity. So like, and I get, you know, once it's out, it's like I get in my own head and create anxiety for myself. Like, oh my goodness, is this really, you know, looking good? I could see that little pixel over there, or, you know, it just makes a mess out of things. But yes, I really like to make sure things are looking good when I present them, whether I'm going out, you know, the way I dress, the way I carry myself, the way, you know, just the appearance is super important. Not to mention, you know, just getting out there, putting work forward. It has to be, you know, exact measure. But yeah, it's a headache to me, but I figured I've learned to live with it, sort of, unless it kills me first. But yeah. So let me go ahead and throw it to Johnna. So what are some of your strengths or weaknesses that helped or hindered you in achieving your goals?
Yeah, I would say, you know, I'm passionate about it. And so if I said I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And that's just kind of one of those things that I think I was raised with, is if you give your word, then you do what you said you would do. And so that I would say is probably a strength, but sometimes when it comes to weaknesses, like Dibby, it's hard to delegate stuff sometimes. And sometimes I have a hard time turning things over. Like, I can see the magnitude of what needs to be done. And part of me doesn't want to burden anyone else with it. Although I know that there are many hands who want to help, and I'm so appreciative of that. And then sometimes I'm a little impatient. You know, I want things to happen now. And in the real world, things don't happen instantaneously. So I would say those are some things that, you know, I find that I need to temper within myself from time to time. But Dibby, thinking back on your leadership journey, was there anything that almost held you back?
Oh my gosh, not almost, did. Crippling anxiety for 32 years. It was 52 years, because I really feel like I didn't even start to step out until I was 52. I didn't step into this journey until I was 52. But 32 years in the workplace, but I really had it my whole life. So, and it held me back completely. You know, I always could think to myself, I wondered what I could do if I wasn't afraid. I'd say that to myself all the time. And for anybody out there who suffers from anxiety, I completely get it, because it doesn't go away. I mean, you've learned to manage it. It doesn't completely go away. But, you know, it's embarrassing. So you don't really share it with people. The fear is embarrassing. The things you're afraid of is embarrassing. So, but I think one day I was just sick of it. So I was so sick of feeling squashed that I stepped out, even though I was afraid, and it didn't kill me. So I just kept going. Still battle it, but it is definitely better. Talking about it does help. So some of you have probably heard me say it before. I'm like, why does she say that all the time? It's because it does help. And I do know it helps other people. I do think that other people say, oh my gosh, you don't seem like you have anxiety. And I remember saying that to people, looking at somebody and saying, if that person has anxiety, I do too, then maybe I can do that as well. So, so Moses, how about you? Did anything hold you back?
I probably fear of failure. I'm also super anxious about everything. I used to be shyest. Well, I'm shy. I just put a facade on so that way, it doesn't show. Like the shyest kid ever. Actually, a short, quick story. I was in 10th grade, and we were right next to the teacher. I sat, of course, right beside her. And then I kept calling out answers. And then, she got mad. She was like, oh, I'm going to deduct 10 points from your test tomorrow. So I kept calling out the answers because all the other kids were rowdy. But she's like, I'm going to take another 10. So then I got mad at that point. I was like, you're playing with my grades. So I started writing little curse words on the, oh my God, I hate this so. And then she was like, you're writing on my desk, another 10 points. So I was like, yo, that was enough. So the next day during the test, I was so pissed off. So I go on the top of the test, dear teacher, you're terrible at teaching. Why don't you call my mom? She'll teach you. And I handed the test paper in. And then she, the day's over, right? No, not the day, but right after the test, she was like, oh, stop being so grumpy. I'm not going to take the points off. I was like, oh God, what have I done? That night, she called the house, which I was hoping she wouldn't. But she didn't talk to my mom. She talked to me. So and then she was like, oh, that's so mean. Why'd you do that? I was like, well, you're playing with my grades. Like, it was something serious. So then when she hung up, my mom asked like, oh, what did the teacher want? And I was like, nothing. She just wanted to say happy Hanukkah. So since then, I feel like I got out of my shyness bubble and I'm a little outspoken now. But yeah, so that's like a little snippet from behind the scenes back when I was not rebellious, but starting to get rebellious, but not really rebellious. I'm a good boy. Johnna, what was the moment in your career when you doubted your leadership skills, and how did you change your mindset to overcome that doubt?
Well, truly, when I was asked if I had any interest in moving up the chairs for OAA, I kind of thought, oh my gosh, what am I even thinking? Who am I to even think that I could be in that position? That's crazy. And so, like Dibby, I needed to think about it for a bit and kind of talk with some people and find out what would be involved in terms of, how much time would be involved and things like that. And I was very nervous about it and continue to be nervous about it. And, as a fairly anxious person to begin with, it just, there's a lot to consider. And, with anything, if I want to do it, I want to do a good job. And as far as what changed my mindset, really was having the wonderful luck to chat with Dibby. And she really was just able to say, look, if I can do it, you can do it. And, again, I'm so fortunate to have been able to build this network of people around me who want me to succeed and who want good things for me. And that would be my only thing to say to look at that group of people who surrounds you in your own lives and make sure you've got that person who's in your corner no matter what. Because boy, have I needed that, especially in this last year. So find those people, they're important. But speaking of those people, Dibby, tell me about Moses as a leader.
Oh, okay. So I will tell you this. So the minute I laid eyes on Moses, I knew he was going to be a leader. I knew he was. So he came in the student to leadership program, and the students would always do the registration. So that was kind of their beginning activity, and it would get them to know each other and so forth. So Moses stepped in, and first of all, he had this cool name. I loved his name. So, and I had this thing in my head that I was like, from from Singing in the Rain. Moses supposes his toes are roses. Moses supposes erroneously. So I said it to him, and I'm like, we're sure he thought I was off my nut. And anyway, I couldn't stop saying it to him the whole time. But he walked in there and he completely took over that registration table. Okay, you're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Okay, you over here. He talked to people about when lunches were going to be, when, you know, who was going to take this, and kept communicating. I was like, I guess I'll leave the registration table. I was like, no, of course he's a leader. There was no question. And he has, you know, he has been that same person and more since then. So, you know.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Dibby. Like, so much. You don't get how much I do.
It's so it's absolutely 100% true. And of course, I think did I sing that song to you like 20 times?
Oh, like a million. Every time you saw me, and I was like, okay. I was like, oh no, I haven't seen that movie. What is she talking about? But then I had to go back and like Google it. So you don't think I'm like backwards or something.
So Moses, tell us what strikes you about Johnna as a leader.
So with Johnna, I met her at our my first board meeting that I was at, leadership. And I remember I was sitting here on a table, and then she was sitting around the corner by Dibby. I was like, oh, she looks so smart with those glasses. And I was like, you know, she had like the brightest idea. I was like, damn, she's a vice president. Like, that's going to be, you know, like hard to step up. At the time, she was second vice president. I was like, oh, wow, she's going to make a good vice president. And then she's going to make an even better president. So it was like, I don't know what it was. She like held herself very like, really well. She carried herself. She spoke eloquently. Oh my God, that smile was like brightens the whole room. So it's like, so it's good. So no matter, even like the thing with Johnna is that even when she's, you know, anxious or nervous, she does not put it forward. Like, she's strong and humble, of course, but like she holds it together so well, and she's so bright. I love that about her. So I'm really glad I got the opportunity to meet you. Love you too, so much. Let me ask you about Johnna, about Dibby. You've been working with her for a while now on the OA. What insights have you learned about her? And what did you know that, you know, then that you didn't know now, and vice versa? What did you learn about her?
Dibby is the most genuine person you'll ever meet. And so I feel like what I've known about her from the minute I met her continues to be true today. The only thing I maybe didn't know is that she's also a really excellent cook. She is a wonderful foodie. And she has impeccable taste in restaurants and food. So if ever you're needing a recommendation, Dibby has one, and it's a really good one.
Dinner with me, right?
I know, it's fantastic. But really and truly, that is one of the best things about having the opportunity to work with Dibby, is that she will take you along with her on her journey. And if you don't have a firsthand experience, to have someone who, you know, wants to give of their time and their experience to teach you along the way, I really cannot underestimate how important that has been in my life. And I really can't thank you enough, Dibby. You've been more than an inspiration. You just—
Entirely my pleasure. Entirely my pleasure. You know, one of the things that we have worked on, and then once I finish this, Kyle's got some questions for us because we're at our 10-minute mark, is that I think it's so important for us as leaders to prepare the people that are coming behind us. Because, I mean, not just make sure that there's somebody there, but also be sure that they have some idea. So, you know, one of the first calls that I made to Johnna and the executive team coming up behind was the first big mistake I made. I said, I'm just going to call and tell you, I did this really dumb thing. And I think you probably should know about it, because chances are that we all as leaders make mistakes. And I think you should know that, you know, I'm right there, and I don't want you to make the same one that I did. So I do think it's for that, and the good things and the bad things, it's important to, and it's not really training, but it's sharing. This is what it's really like. You know, like I said, are you scared sometimes? Absolutely. Are you unsure that you're not making the right decision? 100%. I wouldn't say 100%, but there are definitely times that I feel like, I don't know if this is the right thing. So Kyle, do we have a couple questions?
Yeah, we have a couple, actually a good amount of questions here, but when I sift through most of them, a couple people don't know how to make the right decision, or they're not confident in the decision that they make because they want to give a platform for others in their workplace. Do you have any thoughts there?
I do actually, with something like that. I know because I've struggled with this. Sometimes the best decision is the one that your gut tells you about. Sometimes you have to turn off your brain long enough to let your gut tell you how you really feel about something. And I am a classic overanalyzer. I will think through everything 10 times around, and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night and think it through again and not be sure to make a decision at all. So what happens is I end up just being frozen, right? I'm afraid to make the wrong decision, so I don't make any decision. And so what I've learned to do, and sometimes more successfully than others, is to find a way to quiet my brain enough to really ask myself how I feel about it, and let that help guide my decision making.
Yes, I agree. I can remember one time at Massachusetts, some kind of an issue. I can't remember what it was, but somebody said, "Oh, this thing is happening. What do we do?" And I said, I think it was somebody who was upset about something. And I said, "Oh, yep, we're going to do this." And they said, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Nope, but that's what we're going to do." So sometimes being confident and just saying, "This is the decision, I'm going to go with it." Even, as Johnna said, particularly you're using your intuition. My sister has an expression that she always says, your brain is smarter than you are. It isn't just what's going on in the thinking, but it's everything. So you take all of that into your decision, and then hold your nose and jump off the bridge.
Perfect. So a different question is that one of the attendees was saying that a lot of people fall into the fields. Do you have a moment when you realize that this field is for me?
I'd
I don't know that
say
I had a moment.
you realize it. It's always questionable, because when you're in a good mood, if something positive happened, you're always like, yes, this is what I wanted to do. But then when you're in a, negative mood, something wrong, you're like, damn, questioning your decision. And this has to do with the question that we previously had answered. Just take ownership, be confident with what you decide. There's going to be ups and downs, but eventually you'll know, it's like they say, you know who you're going to marry, or, when things are in their place, you'll just know it. And it takes those positivities to overshadow the negatives, I guess. That's when it'll really show you when it's time, that you've made the right decision.
Yeah, I think you feel it. You feel it in your gut. Yeah.
Let's see, we got a couple other things. Are you all good listeners?
Not as good as I should be.
Agreed. Well, not agreed with you. Agreed in my, I'm also.
Okay. A comment from the chat was that a person lives in Florida. Is there anything I can do to help the OAA?
Join your state association, number one, and get involved with either your state association or the national association as a leader. If you're here, you're already interested in being leaders. We need leaders desperately. We need good, involved leaders. Looks like there's a lot of us, but there really aren't a lot of us. The more leaders we have, the more success we're going to have in our industry, in our profession. Either of you?
Yeah, well, Erica, I see you in the chat. So yes, and thank you for speaking up. That is the first step, really and truly. So absolutely, come to meetings, get involved in your state, just like Dibby said. But your voice matters. It's important. We need it for the future of our field. And so please continue to get involved. Reach out to any of us. I can tell you that all three of us would be more than willing to help answer any questions you have, to help with any specifics. But I'm endlessly amazed at the wonderment of people in our industry who dearly want all of us to succeed. So keep with it. That's great.
All right. I am about to put up the slides to get the link up to send over back to the main room because we are just about to wrap up. So final thoughts.
Okay. Well, in conclusion, I think you'll see that being a leader in this field doesn't require more than the willingness to make a change for the better. And all three of us hope to have inspired you to be a part of that change. If we can do it, you can do it. And we need your voice. So please continue. We're excited to see you out there.
Thank you all for joining us. And thanks to Dibby, Johnna. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You.
Thank you.